welcome, and welcome to another day and another stream. Hope you are having a wonderful day. Hope your day has been good, friends, family, foes, colleagues, business, siblings, the whole shebang, including your pets. I hope everybody is doing exceptionally well. To all the people that are meeting us for the very first time, we always like to give you our biggest welcome. And that means we welcome you in the name of the Father, the Son, and the Holy Spirit. So, we are on a journey with Pastor K. This is the fourth day of the journey. So, that means tomorrow is the grand finale of this journey for this week by the grace of God. And we're so grateful for Him giving us this time, and especially the sacrifice that He's making to be able to be a blessing to us for the whole of the week. So we are not taking it for granted. So please help me to like, share, follow, subscribe, and press the notification button. I have said this a few times and I'm saying it again. If this is a blessing to you and you do feel that is very resourceful and you're learning something from it, please invite other families, other people, so that they can also enjoy whatever it is that you are all also enjoying from the stream. So, if you're with us yesterday, you notice that before we blink, time was gone. So, I want us to maximize the time that we've got again today, and also the safety of Pastor K getting home. That's also important to us as well. So, if you are ready, I will say fasten your seatbelt. And At Bishop in the house, Merry Thursday to you, ma'am. Hope you're well. And Let's get Pastor K to come in. He's waiting patiently in the background, and we'll be able to jump into the topic for today, which is also another one that I find interesting. I mean, everything that we are talking about and doing, it's all about intentional parenting. So today we're going to be talking about the distraction. How can one be intentional or maintain intentionality in a very distracted world? So this is going to be interesting because I know that there are a few things that many of us already probably tick in the box as the distraction, but I'd love to hear Pastor K's take on this. So everybody, please help me to give a PCC family welcome to Pastor K of Love Squad Church, Lagos. Pastor K, good evening.
Good morning, good evening to you and to everyone who's watching.
That's right. It's an evening for you, but it's definitely morning for somebody somewhere. That is
Absolutely,
brilliant. It's interesting.
absolutely.
There's actually a country, the first country to always enter the new year is 14 hours ahead of everybody. And it's a very small country like this in Far
Mhm.
East Asia. 14 hours before everybody, they enter the new year.
Wow.
That's over half a day, isn't it? Because a day
Yeah,
is 24. So
24 hours. Yeah,
probably
yeah.
why you are still fast asleep. Somebody's,
Somebody's already shouted at me.
yes. Um, well, um, here we are, Pastor K, another day.
Yeah.
And we're still very much on intentionality. So I'm handing over the reign again to you as we jump into the fourth day. Uh, Parenting with a purpose in a distracted world.
Yeah. Yeah. And again, I think or this topic is in itself is very important and is very relatable because there's a lot of distractions. There's a lot of distractions in our world, and and we have to be focused on the goal. Otherwise, we can be easily distracted, right? From parenting with intentionality, because not all parents are parenting, without intentionality. With like we were saying yesterday, some people are just doing it the way it comes, and so any little thing can distract them away from parenting. Sometimes it could be their jobs, sometimes it could be their own ministry, as it were. And before they know it, they've forgotten that primary assignment of stewarding the lives of their children for the Lord. And sometimes it is that we want we just want some level of um, we just want it feels like a burden sometimes to parent, and so you're just looking for something to distract the kids away from you. But unfortunately, many times we cannot control the distractions um that we we are hoping will give us some time. For example, some parents would say, oh, I just want to distract them away from me a little bit, so I give them phones and I say, hey, go watch your cartoons and all that. And we know that cartoons these days are not just they are not just for entertainment purposes. They are intentionally created to educate our children with the wisdom of this world. And now you see cartoons with homosexual content. You see cartoons with the spirit of you know. With in cartoons, they talk a lot about relativism. Your truth is your truth, my truth. So children are being indoctrinated, and by these cartoons and many of these other stuffs, such that if you're not careful, you are co-parenting with Disney, Disneyland or whatever it is. You're co-parenting with them, and you're trying to impart one wisdom, and they are trying to impart another wisdom. And because they teach with audiovisual content, it's most likely going to stick better than you, because you do not have audiovisual content. Um, and so Philippians chapter 2, verse 15, if I can open it, talks about how that if I start from verse 14, it says, do all things without complaining and disputing,
Mm.
that you may become blameless and harmless, children of God, without fault in the midst of a crooked and perverse generation, among whom you shine as lights in the darkness, holding fast the word of life, so that I may rejoice in the day of Christ, that I have not run in vain or labored in vain. So we're raising children, and it's in the midst of a crooked and perverse generation. Nobody is saying it's going to be easy. It's not going to be easy, because several things are going to call for the attention of our children. We just talked about it. The internet is not a safe place for kids. There's a lot of cyberbullying. There's a lot of knowledge, dark knowledge, that is available on the internet. And unfortunately, many of us, we just expose our children to the internet without caution, without limits. And so you think you're imbibing certain cultures, but someone else, somewhere else in the world, is indoctrinating your child through social media, through dark I think they call it dark internet or something like that, you know. And so we need to be very, very intentional, knowing that there are many voices in the world, and we want it that the voice that our children would hear is the voice of the Lord. And so we must be careful. Number one, we must be present. We must be present. And it's not just present physically. Um, you know, there's something called absenteeism, which is that you are not you are not present. And everybody talks about absenteeism as a bad thing. Either you're an absent father or you're an absent mother. But it's not only absenteeism that is a problem. There is also what is called presentism. Presentism means that you are just present,
Mm-hmm.
but you are actually not there.
Mm-hmm.
And so there are lots of parents that what they are practicing is presentism. You are in the same room with your daughter or your son, but she's somewhere else entirely. You're in the same room, but she's listening to a particular song that is imbibing
Mm-hmm.
certain doctrines, certain mentality, certain ideologies,
Mm.
and all that. And as parents, we must shield. Sometimes people may even think that you are being too aggressive, or
Yeah.
you're taking their freedom away from them. That's part of the distraction. You know that you are still wording these lies for the Lord. And so the way a mother hen protects her children is the way you protect the minds of your children. Because what the devil is trying to get at is the mind. Once he builds a stronghold of, and usually it's an ideology, it's a mentality, it's an idiosyncrasy. When he builds that mentality in the mind of a person, and that includes children, it's going to take the gospel of Christ, you know, in its pure form, to pull down those ideologies in the future. But once you have built the ideology of the truth in their hearts, nothing is. That's why the scripture says, "Train up your child in the way that it should go," and when it goes that way, nothing will be able to pull down that structure of truth that you have put in their heart. I personally thank God that my parents exposed me to the gospel early, that even when I started living in a way that wasn't Christ like, I had it at the back of my mind that, like, it was as if there's a voice that kept telling me that, no, this is not the way you should go. This is not the way you should go. And I can say that it's because of the background that I had in the faith. So as a parent, just to round that off, it is important that we're intentional. What are your children listening to? Who are your children listening to? I, as a person, I'm not a fan of boarding house. And of course, again, that's just my personal opinion. I have a reason for that. I feel that except for extreme reasons, maybe there's a loss of a parent or something. I don't think that we should be taking children to boarding house, even up to senior secondary school, because it's outsourcing parenting. Those are the most important years of your children's life, and you are giving them to someone else to train them for you while you are busy running after money or something else. Again, like I said, it's my opinion. I believe that my primary assignment is to raise my children. My children cannot be second. I cannot reduce my children to people that I see once in a month. Do you know how much they pass through? Do you know how much information they would have gotten in the remaining 27 days that you were not there? Even the guardian that you think you trust might be the one that is even exposing them to all kinds of. Now, if the circumstances are difficult and they need to go to boarding house, you have to do a bit more. You have to do a bit more. It cannot just be that you're speaking to your children and you're building their mindset once every 28 days when you come in for visiting days. Maybe you have a powerful structure, or a very, a very effective structure where you constantly speak with them and you mentor them, every day. I don't know how that works, but I think the best thing is for them to live under your roof. They go to school, you come back, you review the day together, you examine them, you examine their thoughts, you pick their brain, you want to be sure, you pray together. They see you model Christ in the way you pray, in the way you interact with your neighbors, in the way you interact with the church members, and they can just, form their lives after you are very particular about their diet. And I'm not just talking about the food they eat, that's important, but I'm
Mm.
also talking about what they consume with their eyes, with their ears, and the things that go straight into their mind, trying to form who they are. I think these are the things that, as intentional parents, we need to do, because there's a lot of distraction, and the distractions are going to get worse. They're going to get worse. When I was young, when I was in the secondary school, unfortunately, maybe that's part of why I hate the boarding house. I feel that it was in the boarding house that I got corrupted, and but then, what were we listening to? We're listening to music on rechargeable lamps, and there was no internet, at least at the initial part of when I was in secondary school and all that. Okay, there was internet, but you don't have mobile devices, so you couldn't have it on your phone. And so we had limited exposure, except you went to a place where we call cyber cafes. I don't know if they still exist right now. If I wanted to talk to my parents, I write a letter, and I won't get a response until 1 month after, because it will take 2 weeks to get to them, and their response will take another 2 weeks to get to me. But now, children have the whole world on their mobile phone. They
Mhm.
can access anything, anywhere, at any time. There's the way we create content. It is for fast consumption, so they are just scrolling all day. The time they need to have taking a lot of substance into themselves, either by reading or meditating, they now spend those times on frivolities now, because the frivolities are available. And the way it works is that it is going to get worse. It is going to get worse. The distractions will get worse. So, as a parent, what are the structures that I must put in place
Mm.
to ensure that my children are not distracted and do not follow this crooked and perverse generation that is living contrary to the will and the purpose of God. Yeah.
Wow, that was again, that was a lot to unpack in there. Um, Many again, I'm going to say resonate with me, and things that I've done, I'm doing, and I'm passing on to other people as well. So I hope people are taking it on board. Again, many of the suggestions that is coming as to how we can go about doing this. It's really what I'm thinking about, because when I'm hearing your personal experience as well now, uh, about boarding school, there was again another situation in our life about whether one of our child was also going to go to boarding. I was a product of boarding. I was a product of boarding. And to be honest, times are different. And I also have to say that boarding experiences in different continents and different nations, they're also different as well.
Yeah.
I don't have anything negative to say about my boarding experience, to be honest with you. Maybe I should think again before I say that. Because I'm looking at it generally that me as a person growing up, did it have a negative impact on me? No, I don't think it had a negative impact on me. And did I have negative experience? I did, but it was not from the school; it was from the student. And I've heard other people as well that have experienced similar things again. So for me, I consider that as from children to children, not necessarily because of the environment. Because I think those children would have done exactly the same thing, even if the school was not a boarding school, if you understand what I'm saying.
Yeah. Yeah.
So
Yeah.
I don't feel was the impact of the boarding. But I do understand what you're saying in you used a term, I'm trying to remember the term, like giving that responsibility
Outsourcing.
away.
Outsourcing.
Yeah, outsourcing, thank you. That responsibility away to somebody. It is true, 100%. That's exactly what you're doing. And as you were saying it, I was just reflecting when we were considering that as an option. And to be honest, that's probably one of the reasons we also did not go through with it as well. Um, but yes, I think we are very much in danger, especially in the body of Christ. And you and I mentioned this earlier on in the week as well, that even when people come to church as well, they do the same thing with their children.
Yeah.
That, go to Sunday school, go to children's ministry, go to, uh, just let me get some peace.
Yeah.
So they know, and many people don't know what it is that has been taught in Sunday school. And like you, that you were talking, that you spoke with the person in charge of your Sunday school. And obviously, there's a structure there as to this is not a creche, this is not a playground, this is church for the younger generation. Now, I also remember having had the same conversation many years ago when I was also heading the children's ministry. We actually had a curriculum
Yeah.
of what the children were being taught. And that was like an eye opener. And somebody even copied it and took it to their church because they visited us and they saw what we were doing and they
Yeah.
copied it. So yes, I do understand that many people are in danger of always sourcing out. It's like Pastor K, if you look at it, they come to church, they source it out.
Yeah.
Then indirectly, whether we like it or not, even when our children are not in boarding, for the 5, 6, 7 hours that they go to school Monday to Friday, we're also sourcing out our responsibility at that moment as well.
Yeah. Yeah.
So
Yeah.
when they now go to boarding, like you say, we have actually sourced out everything at
Everything
this point,
completely.
like
Yeah.
you said. So,
Yeah.
and we don't even know whether the feedback we're getting, even if we're even getting any feedback, we don't know if the feedback we're getting is the authentic situation on ground or
Yeah.
just what the teachers wanted us to know.
Yeah.
So until the holidays, like you said, maybe visiting days or holidays, that's now when we get a glimpse into the kind of child that is being raised. And right now, at the moment, you're not the one raising that child.
No, you're
Other
not.
people are doing it on your behalf. And like you said, what access did they have to other things that you probably wouldn't have approved of?
Yeah.
And the school probably didn't consult you on,
Yeah.
and they're making available to your child.
Yeah.
All it could be in the name of education, it could be in the name of recreation,
Yeah.
but would that have been something that you would have approved of or you would have exposed your child to? Or even if you're going to expose your child to it, will it be at that age? Or you wait for them to be a lot older, those kind of things. So, yes, there are many things that I think one needs to consider when talking about boarding school and leaving. I mean, again, something else you said, even if you're not talking boarding school, Pastor K, there are those that will there's those that will bring people in to do the job, like you said. So they're
Yeah.
present, which is, and I'm so glad you pointed that as well, because
Yeah.
the presentism, is that what you called
Yeah.
it?
Yeah.
Okay.
Presentism. Yeah.
Okay, so they are home, but they've got no clue what's going on in the life of the child.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
So maybe there's somebody that looks after the cooking, somebody that looks after the laundry, somebody
Yeah.
that drives them from A to B. Then they've got a tutor that comes in and helps them with their homework. So basically, what are you doing? And I think, please correct me if I'm wrong, but I think a lot of men are guilty of this,
Yeah.
especially if they're financially viable and comfortable.
Yeah.
And I think I've made my money available. I've paid for their school. I've paid for their transport. They've roof over their head. There's food in their tummy. There's clothes on their back. They're not lacking electricity or anything that is stopping them. I've bought all the textbooks. I've got them the teacher. So what's the problem?
Yeah. Yeah. And I wanted to say something. I wanted to also respond. I wanted to respond to what you said earlier that you you wouldn't say that boarding school had a negative effect on you, because my wife says the same thing. I remember when I used to say that boarding school, had a lot of negative effect on me, that I wouldn't be, I would have gone faster. I would probably have become a better person earlier than this if I didn't attend boarding outside. She would always say that's not our experience. And I agree. But many times when we lose certain things and we do not know what we have lost, we may think we have not
Mm,
lost anything. It might even be the bonding. If you look
yes.
back, you may think that um I'm not as close to my parents as I should have been. Because you see, all those assignments, all those come, have you done your homework, going through it together, all of that, it's a form of bonding. Once that is not there, the children are now used to living their lives without you. You
Mm-hmm.
never can tell how much of that has an impact on them as individuals. So my wife and I, we just that we just planted our church
Mm-hmm.
last year, early last year. And when a church is in the planting phase, it's very difficult. You have to sit on it, you have to monitor it, you have to put in structure, you have to have meetings, prayer meetings, and all of that. So it's very demanding. But it was also at that time that we told ourselves that we don't want to use nannies anymore. The part of the world where we live, it's easier to access, nannies and all that. We've used a couple, but we just told ourselves that yes, but what we are doing is that even though we're present, but we are still, co-parenting or co-raising these children with these nannies. And we don't even know, I remember there was a time our first son was telling us of something that the nanny did or said to her after the lady had left. And we're like, why didn't you tell us when she threatened him not to tell? And so we just told ourselves, no more, no more. We are going to be, it's not comfortable. I'll be at work once it's 2 p.m. I go home. And so we're living basically like a UK life where you exchange, maybe one parent is with the
Yep.
children. Once the other person is free, you switch, you can go do your job.
Mm-hmm.
Basically, that's how we're living, because we understand that if we continue on that route, we may be present. And just like you're saying, maybe we pay the nanny, we have time to be free to do other things. But by the time the children are grown, they are completely different from who we would have, God would want them to be, and we would have wanted them to be as a person. So it's very important. Those hours that we spend together on a daily basis has a lot of impact on the children that is quite immeasurable.
You know what I would say regarding that? Again, I'm coming from my personal experience as well.
Yeah,
I agree with you regarding the element of the bonding.
yeah,
100%. I agree with you. I, obviously I can't speak for your wife, but when I'm saying obviously it didn't have a negative effect on me,
yeah.
I'm talking in terms of maybe abuse,
Views are
all
turning
those
out
kind of
wrong.
thing. Yes, but when you're talking about the bonding with the parents, again, just personally, me myself, I'm not talking about anybody else.
And
I believe every home is unique. And
yeah,
that's why I believe part of what we've also discussed earlier in the week, parenting is not does should not start when you conceive or when the child arrived.
yeah,
I think these are all part of the things that should have been learned and discussed way before that time. Not
yeah,
feeling our way in the dark. Obviously, as life happens, we might need to adjust things and all that kind of thing.
yeah. Along
But
the
at
way,
least we have a blueprint at the beginning when we started. Now, it is my understanding, again, from a personal perspective, even if and I'm saying we as my siblings and I, even if we had not been in boarding school, we still wouldn't have had a one-to-one relationship with our father.
okay,
So the ones that, and that's why, again, I'm talking from a personal experience. I'd love to
yeah,
hear other people's as well. Because like you said, I think one of the things you said with your dad's relationship as well was he was such a strict parenting kind of, so he did not leave the room for that bonding relational closeness that was needed. So regardless of whether one went to boarding school
That's
or
good.
not, exactly, and that's
Yeah,
what I'm making reference to.
I get it.
So even for some of us, especially if you've ever heard any of my stories of my family, is actually a blessing for you to actually go to a boarding school. In fact, you dreaded coming home in the
Wow.
holidays, if you understand what I'm saying.
Yeah, I
And
do.
and it's
I
not
do.
because of the liberty that you had. It was just because of the kind of person that you had that you couldn't relate with. And they
Yeah.
were not willing to relate with you. So there was no facility or avenue for that bonding either. So,
Mm,
and they didn't know what it was, they didn't yearn for it, and they went listening to their children. Children
mm,
were seen and not heard, and you only spoke when you were spoken to.
yeah.
And all those things did not encourage relationship, it didn't encourage bonding. So
Yeah.
whether some of us went to boarding school or not, because
Yeah.
my home was a home that
Mm,
we had an arrangement with my father's chauffeur.
mm,
When my father, because there's a gate to enter our house.
mm,
So when my father is coming home and the chauffeur is bringing him home, we had arrangement with the driver, with the chauffeur. If he was about 3, 4 houses away, he'll be doing beep 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 beep.
so you
You
could
could dive for
you
cover.
could wow.
Do you see what I'm saying? So
Yeah.
different environment.
Wow.
You could
Wow.
dive for cover. And
Wow.
if God help you, or I don't want to say Satan, you did not hear that horn,
Hear that? You didn't hear
or
that?
you
Okay.
were nearby that gate when that vehicle arrives at the gate,
Wow. Wow.
somebody, because you just don't know what you will do, what you will
Mm,
say, and you just what soap did I use to bath this morning? Which side of the bed did I come? I'm telling you,
mm, yeah.
that's your day messed up for the rest of the day. For
Mm,
nothing that you could even understand, how did we get here?
to this
I hope you
point.
understand what I'm saying. So, in
Absolutely.
as much as I get the bonding, but for some people, it's actually
Yeah.
a blessing. And you
Yeah.
know, Pastor K, some people don't actually know how to parent,
Yeah.
they actually fear parenting.
Yeah.
And that's why I think they just let their children just get away with murder
Mm,
because they just don't know how to parent.
yeah.
So even again for them sending them off to boarding school, they're probably thinking they're doing a good thing for the child
For
because
the
they would have done
child.
a better job. I mean, a worse
Yeah.
job than the
Damn.
school. I hope you understand what I'm saying. So
Yeah, I
there are
do.
nuances
I do.
to this, yes.
I do.
However, I do want to agree with you again, 100%, as to the bonding aspect of children parent relationship, 100%.
Yeah.
Because I'm telling you one thing, and I reflect upon this again and again. It's only when my children went to university, and I will still tell you to a certain extent, I'm still a part, but it's only when my children went to university, I was not part of their education from Monday to Friday to an extracurriculum activity to when they got to school, they left school, they did homework, they did extracurriculum. There was no aspect that I
Yeah.
was not a part of it.
Part of it. Yeah. That's
And I'm going to
intentional
tell
parents.
you that probably stemmed from my boarding school experience. Do you see what I'm saying? This is why
Yeah.
I'm
Yeah.
sharing it with you. So
Yeah.
even though I didn't have a negative uh, personal experience,
Mm,
but I came from a home where that wasn't given to me,
yeah.
because nobody ever, you remember, I don't know what they call it now, but when we were young, uh, you didn't do oyoyo, daddy is coming home. No, we didn't do oyoyo. No, that's my auntie coming. She's laughing. No, we didn't do oyoyo. No, we ran for cover.
You ran for cover.
So, um, again, talking about that aspect of being a part,
Yeah.
I I'm an advocate. 100%, I agree with you. Just like you got rid of your nannies, that,
Yeah.
and I would look back for years and years. In fact, my children learning to read the Bible, understand the Bible, comprehend the Bible, pray, love the Lord, actually were birthed in our school journey experience every morning.
Mm, mm.
Every morning.
Yeah. Yeah.
So there were bonding moments. There's so many moments that we can think back and reflect on that has shaped who we are individually and as a family today. So,
Yeah.
me making that choice that I want to be every aspect of their life, it's a choice. It's costly, Pastor K, let's be
Yeah.
honest.
Yeah. It is. It is.
It's very
It's
costly,
not.
it's very
It's not
time
easy.
demanding.
It takes a sacrificial person to be able to do that, and that's what we said, that someone who is selfish cannot parent with intentionality. It takes, it takes, you know, that I'm giving my life away so that these other lives can sprout or can grow and all that. Yeah.
Exactly. And even when they went off to university, it was still a very present one as well, whereby we shared a common calendar. Everybody knew who was doing what when. So it's not out of sight, out of mind.
Right. Yeah.
And like you said, the communication, it took you, I mean, when I heard your experience, it takes 2 weeks for your letter to get to your dad. It would take another 2 weeks for him to get back to you. That's a month, literally.
Literally.
And I was
Yeah.
just thinking in my head as you're speaking, if there's a decision that needs to be made, you're going to have to decide way in advance, because if it's going to take a month for both of you to communicate,
Yeah.
if
Yeah.
a decision needs to be made, what do you do in those period?
Yeah. I made most of my decisions myself,
There
and
you see again.
I made terrible decisions, terrible decisions. And I remember, when I was leaving secondary school, there was only one thing on my mind, against university. That the first thing I'll do when I get to the university is to join the cult. That was a decision I made. Thank God that I didn't gain admission immediately. I had like a one
Hallelujah.
year layover, and it was in that period that the Lord, captured me, and I got saved. And then and the whole story changed and all that. So, and I'm saying this because, again, for me, we weren't even allowed to listen to rap songs. All my exposure to rap songs and all of it came in the boarding house, in secondary school. And I remember I was part of a gang in secondary school. We used to call ourselves the Zero G's. And maybe
Wow.
from the name, we actually even graduated with zeros. You know, and I came into the school as one of the best then, but I graduated, with a very bad result.
Poor result.
Yeah, I had to retake and I keep telling myself that, if I didn't go to boarding house, I would have turned out a lot better. Now, my life is not a mess. I still graduated as a doctor, you know, and all that. But I know that at the time it was like rebuilding my life. Um, and I'd lost a lot of. I just knew that if I didn't go now, just like you said, it's not everybody's experience. Um, um, but some of us could have been averted, some of the struggles we
Yes.
went through, because I know people who even died, in that state and all of that,
Wow.
because maybe secondary, maybe boarding houses are different, like say context and all of
Yeah.
these things are different, but you just release young adults. Now they are free, they make decisions.
Mm.
um like I said, I remember I started sneaking out from JSS1. And when my seniors knew that I had the boldness to sneak out of school, they would send me on errands, sometimes even in the middle of the night.
Wow.
I'm telling you, maybe around 10, 11 p.m. sometimes we were still in
So
town. Our
dangerous.
parents think that we're in
Fast
school.
asleep.
Yeah, we're in town with, thank God it's not the days of kidnappings and all of that.
Mm.
Sometimes I schooled in a lorry, so many of these elders used to pass by our school. In fact, there's a bus stop where you could buy food and travelers could pause. We call that place 2K. I can't remember what it's called now. We could go buy food. It's about 2 kilometers from our school. We would trek
Oh,
down there. Yes, we will trek down there sometimes in the middle of the night. And we will not use torchlights. Why? Because if we use torchlight, someone could see that we're there. So
yes.
we could just be two or three of us just walking in the dark,
Wow.
to school, back from school. Sometimes, like I said, we could have been killed. I remember there was a night we were going out, and as usual, we walked in the dark. But the other person insisted on coming with a torchlight, and we were still around the back of our hostel. So I was angry. I said, "Why do you need a torchlight? Someone would see that torch from afar, and it will call an attention to us. It will call attention to us." So, but we're still around the back of the hostel. So I said, "Okay, you have this torchlight. Just flash it in it." And the moment it flashed that torchlight, I was the next step I was going to take. There was this huge brown poisonous snake that was
Was
there.
I was
That if I had matched that snake, it would have beaten me, and I probably would have died that night, and all that. So if I was in my parents' house, I wouldn't be exposed to such. Now, are there positives? I'm not saying there are no positives,
of course.
but I just feel that even if we cannot quantify them, even if we cannot quantify, and we're talking to people who want to be intentional, um, even and like you always say, even if you think you do not have the skills, go and learn,
Mm.
go and pray, but be very present in the lives of your children. Don't be surprised by, when I turned out the way I turned out. Of course, after a while, I joined the gang. I came back home. My attitude, they were going to notice my bad attitude
Of course.
because I wasn't the innocent child that came in
Mm.
to secondary school, and all that. And my parents, I saw that they didn't know what to do, to be candid. They didn't know. My dad tried beating me, thinking that that would change me. Changed nothing. I was getting worse. They didn't know. He would take me, drag me along with him. He was an elder. He was an elder in church. Take me to their video. I would go there. He didn't move me. And we had a lot of fight. My mom would cry and all of that. If I remember, there was a time I felt they were troubling me too much. I left the home for them.
Wow.
I just left. I didn't even know where I was going. I just went into the streets. I was sleeping in the streets, for a couple of days before I returned home and all
Wow.
that. Of course, what they would then do, the only thing they could resort to at the time was prayer. And maybe God answered their prayers because it was at about that time that I became interested in watching a particular man of God on TV. He would come preach, come, and then after a while, I got interested because he was teaching new creation realities, which was not a topic that they taught in my parents' denomination, and I started seeing Christianity in a new light, and I got interested, and my journey of faith actually began. But if not for that, if not that God cornered me that way, I said by the time I was leaving secondary school, I was used to the gang life. And I was saying that the first thing I get to the university is to look for the next gang or cult to be a part of. Um, I'm sharing this part of my, which I hardly share, by the way, this part of my, story. And but if you ask me how it all went that way, and not just for me, I also knew people around me that came in
Mm.
innocent. Their stories may not be as bad as mine, to the extreme and all
Mm-hmm.
that, but you just see young children making mistakes, making um no leadership, nobody's leading them. Yes, some people stumble to live the right way, but they could have gone the wrong way too. There was nobody guiding us. Our so-called guardians, we saw them maybe once in a week or something,
Wow.
because how do they want to lead? Maybe as a guardian you have 50, 100 children in your care. How
Mm.
do you want to give adequate time to each of those children? In fact, I knew of people that were really even abused by their so-called guardians, and
Wow.
all that. So even when we're in secondary school and all that. So again, nobody's going to raise your child like yours, like you
Mm.
rather. Nobody's going to raise your child like you. Even your sibling, even your family members, you have to be present. Again, people can argue, when I mean people can have a different opinion. I know people who say, again, it's like marriage. There are people who talk about long distance marriages,
Mm.
husband in Nigeria, wife in the UK, and they are comfortable. They could live like that for 6 years. I say to them, that's
It's
not
not
marriage.
marriage. That
That's
is
not
not
marriage.
marriage.
And it's the same way that your
And it's
child
not
is off to
biblical.
somewhere for 6 years. You are in that. That's not parenting. Yes, the child can turn out right. You and your wife may live apart for 6 years and you may still come back together and be fine, but you've lost years. You've lost
Yes.
mileage in those 6 years,
Mm.
opportunities to bond and grow together. You've lost it. You can't achieve that over the phone.
Mm.
If we really want to do this thing, we should be fully invested in it.
That's right.
And we should, like a mother hen, we protect our own. We sit on their neck. We make sure that the devil does not does not touch these ones that God has put in our care. And I think that's the way to go. Yeah.
You know the other thing again, Pastor K, that please, for anybody that is listening to us, if you want to do boarding school, by all means, if it
Please go
works for your
ahead if it
family,
works for you.
exactly. If it works
Please
for
go
your
ahead.
family, because the topic is basically we're looking at distractions to
Yeah.
being intentional. So for some people, it can be a distraction. In fact, it can not only be a distraction, it could also constitute absolute neglect
Yeah.
in some cases.
Yeah.
Um, because some of the things you and I have been talking about, Pastor K, reading the word together, praying, sharing, rubbing minds on scriptures, on Bible, on my personal experience. If you don't live with me, if you don't know my ups and downs, if you don't know
Yeah.
my morning routine, you don't know what I do as a mother or as a father or what that looks like. What
Yeah.
you're seeing is, I mean, I can still tell you my routine when I was in boarding school. I think I was talking to my daughter the other day and I was telling her the time that we woke up and what time school started.
Yeah.
My school started 7 in the morning. School did not finish until 7 in the evening. And then after that, we'll go for supper. And then after supper, we had extracurriculum activity. And then by 9 o'clock, it was light out. And then it all starts again the following day. And we went to school 6 days a week. We went to school on Saturday as well. So you see what I'm saying? And we
Mhm.
had day students.
Mhm.
So day students were doing the same thing with us. So some of them will be dropped in the morning by
Mhm.
8 something because the first what's his name? No, there will be assembly, so they must arrive before 8.
Arrive earlier. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. So they would stay with us from that morning on. Some of them were not getting home until 10, 11 at night, and
Wow.
they're back the following morning. So you can actually
So
see
it's
that
as good as It's the same, yeah.
It's the same as who, you know,
Yeah,
and that's why some people that do partial boarding, which
yeah.
means they went home at the weekend, that means
Mm.
they went home after classes on Saturday and they
Saturday.
came back Sunday evening and
Yeah.
they almost paid the same amount as full boarders.
Wow.
So
Wow.
you can see. Uh,
Yeah.
so again, what we're saying about, you know, one of the ways to help the distraction is to model things for our children.
Yeah.
If they're not at home, how do I model that?
Yeah. Yeah.
You cannot model that for a child that is not at home.
Yeah.
Now, some people will probably say, oh, then they'll go to a Christian school. Please, please. Let's
Christian schools.
exactly. Please, let's not deceive ourselves.
It's just it's deception. It's
Let's
deception.
not deceive ourselves. So, um, if that's what I mean, the bulk of the children that I was in boarding school with, it was because their parents were in other continents, other countries, and they were working. The literally, to be honest, the only children that seems to be native were the day students that live local.
Mm,
Literally, all of us, which was mostly the higher percentage of the school that were
mm,
boarders, our
mm.
parents were not in the country.
Wow. Wow.
Our parents were not in the country. I mean, I have to tell you, that was one of the advantages because then in the holidays, if you follow somebody home, you could go to Bahrain. If you follow somebody home, you could go to America. If you follow somebody home, so you see what I'm saying? So you
Yeah.
got the opportunity to see the world and, you know,
Mm,
have friends in
mm.
different parts of the world and
Different
meet
parts of the
different
world.
people.
Yeah.
Exactly. Which is why I said it didn't really have some, but then the thing is, when we're talking
Mhm.
about parenting,
Yeah.
the school cannot do the parenting for you.
Well, schools can't do it.
They will
Schools.
know about their math teacher, biology teacher, whatever teacher, but what do they know about mom and dad?
Yeah. Yeah.
How can we model that from a distance, like you said, marriage 6 years apart, telephone calls? I mean, again, that might be a conversation for another day, but that's definitely
Another-
not marriage.
it's not
Because
much.
one of the things, if you remember in Genesis, why Eve was created was God said Adam needed a help that was meet or
For,
suitable for
for him.
him.
Yeah.
You've already annulled what God
It's-
intended,
Yeah.
being apart.
Yeah.
Because I've been asked this question so many times. So, Auntie Funke, you don't agree with a husband being in Saudi Arabia and the wife in Trinidad and
Never.
Tobago. I said,
Never.
God said it is not good for the
For
man
them
to
to
be
be
alone. And then you go and leave him alone somewhere. So, are you saying God doesn't know what he's saying?
yeah. Yeah.
Because that's basically what and then by the time you come to First Corinthians chapter 7, why did Paul says he says, if you cannot hold it, it says,
Yeah.
go and marry.
So what happens on the night when the wife is at home and
He can't
and
hold it.
it c- then there's a lot that happens,
Okay.
and then we
So,
expose ourselves to unnecessary temptations and all that. I know it's a topic for another day because even when the wife or the husband is present, you could be tempted.
of course,
How
I
much
should not
more?
say when there is nobody to
Yeah,
stop him.
there's nobody. So we just like to deceive ourselves, and sometimes I think that it's our idols. Once we fix our idols, then we'll begin to see, we'll begin to, we'll begin to make God's priorities our priorities. Many times, comfort is an idol for us. So everything must work for our comfort. Many times, financial prosperity is an idol. It's something that controls you. It's what you are desperate for. You derive the essence of your being from money and all that money can buy. So you're ready to sacrifice your marriage, you're ready to sacrifice your home, just for that financial prosperity. And then because money boasts, um, boast of being able to do everything that God can do. Money will tell you, it will promise you, it will tell you that don't worry, when you have money, then you will fix your partner or you fix your children with money. And by the time we now have that money, the souls of our children are already gone. You've been distracted for too long. So you have the money and then you just find that you're helpless. Your children don't even want your money anymore. Or even if they want the money, they don't want you. They just want what is yours. And then you now start feeling used, that they're just asking, asking, asking. They don't want to spend time with you. You have neglected them. You have not built a culture of fellowshipping with them, of spending time with them. You have not listened to them. You're jumping from one meeting to the other, from one board meeting to another, making money, and all of that. And then you have lost the most important thing. And you see, on our deathbeds, the most important things to us will not be the number of cars we have or the number of companies. It's going to be the people that we love and the God that we serve. Those are the two. Nobody's dying, and they ask people about the regrets of their life. If you have ever seen anybody dying, the regret has never been that, oh, I didn't make as much money as I wanted to make. I didn't get to the peak of where. Most of it has been that I didn't spend enough time with my family. I didn't spend enough time with my children. I didn't serve God with all of my. It's usually your relationship with God and your relationship with men, starting with your immediate family. And so I think these conversations are such that people should listen to over and over and over again and get their priorities right. Um, it is better to not have excess and have that fellowship with your family. You'll be amazed. Oh, there's a story of maybe I could connect you to. I would connect you to this woman. I
Okay.
heard her story and it was very fascinating.
Wow.
Um, she and her husband were missionaries in I think Angola or thereabout.
Okay.
And this woman homeschooled her children. She homeschooled completely her four children. She would act like the mommy in the morning, and when it's time for school, they don't call her mommy during those school hours. They call her teacher or
Teacher.
auntie during those school hours. It is after, because there were no schools where they went for missionary work. I'd never seen anything like that. They didn't have much money, but they had fellowship. The children know God and they are still doing excellently well. Two of them are in the United States of America doing well and all that. They could sacrifice all of that and pursue money, but they built that unit, and very, very impressive story when I heard it. And
I'd love
I
to
think
speak
that
to
we
her.
need, yeah, I would. I
Oh,
met her
please,
once, but I know I could
please.
yeah.
I'd love to hear from her.
Yeah.
Pastor K, you won't believe our time has flown again, even though we
Again,
again
again.
exactly. Um, there is a question. I think he is directed at me, but I'm not sure. But I'm going to put it on the screen for you. Again, I have loaded response to this, but I want you to
I
do
think you
the
should.
first.
If the person is in the UK, the person is
Yes,
of this country, then I
yes.
don't live in the UK. I won't be I won't be able to answer the question. So
But to be honest, Pastor K, because you've more or less kind of answered this question and spoken about it maybe before the person came on board. Um, because you said when you got rid of the nannies, you
yeah,
became, which is exactly what most of us are doing here anyway.
yeah,
I remember at one point I've always worked night and my husband has always worked day. And it's still affecting me till today, by the way. Um, but even when I was in higher institution, I always did my study in the night anyway. I'm not a day person. I always feel like those people that study in the daytime, they've got problem. Nighttime is for studying. So I'll sleep throughout the day, and then when everybody's gone to bed, that's when I wake up and all that kind of thing. But I'm going to say this because you already said you take it in shifts.
yeah,
You decided you took it upon yourself. And I think, again, in order to answer this question, it doesn't matter where you are across the globe, Pastor K.
yeah,
If we understand the word intentionality,
Yeah.
look, there is nobody that does not have a story. There's no place that is not busy. There is no place that there are not challenges of one kind or the other. We all have different challenges and different problems. But the question is intentionality. Despite the busyness, despite the maybe marital challenges, despite the workload, despite my profession, despite, remember, Pastor K, when we started Malachi chapter 2, what is the purpose of your marriage?
Godly offspring. Yeah.
God says that you raise godly offsprings.
Yeah.
So, which is going back to everything we said at the beginning of this conversation, way at the beginning of the week. If you understand before you went into marriage what it means to be parents, you would have factored that.
Yeah.
That's part of the preparation that we're talking about.
Yeah.
But because that is not a consideration, that is not a thought. And that's why my daughter and I will always laugh when we go to weddings. And they'll say something like, oh, this time in 9 months' time, we'll come and eat rice in your house.
I tell,
I
I
think
tell,
it's the most
I tell young couples, don't let anybody put you under pressure.
okay.
Don't let. If you're not ready for bring, because children alter everything. Children alter. They just alter everything. So you have maybe 2 3 years, as much as you have, you want to lay very strong foundation financially, spiritually. You want to bond, go through your
Exactly.
struggles, because you especially if the courtship wasn't long, it's the earliest part of your marriage that usually is the most stormy. You want to go through that before children start, and once you get your rhythm, so then you can then bring it. If you bring children in the midst of all of that, sometimes it can contribute to why we have a high rate of divorce.
Okay.
Yeah, yeah. So I
Nine
agree with you
months.
totally.
9 months, you probably haven't got your accommodation sorted. Your
Yeah,
finance is not sorted. You don't know each other yet. You don't even, maybe your job is not stable. Maybe even your nationality, whatever it is, there is so many things. And then they're telling you in 9 months' time, we'll be coming to come and eat in your house. Which house? We need to stop all those kind of rubbish because they are absolute rubbish.
yeah.
Unless you, even if
Necessary.
Pastor K, you are well established before you got married, you've never lived with this woman before, you've
Yeah,
never lived with this man before.
yeah,
We don't know what preparations do we have for the child
yeah,
and the nature. Some people are still in full-time education, some people are still in their professional journey, some people had even not started the professional journey, and you're saying in 9 months time somebody's life is going to have to be on hold in 9 months time or even before the 9 months time. How are we going to navigate that financially? How are we going to navigate that? But because it is not a thought that people encourage us to have, they just like, oh, now you're married, you have a child. Oh, according to who? According to who?
according to culture.
Okay. uh Even if, coming back to what we said, culture, they send you a nanny, they send you somebody from the village, you have somebody. Is that you raising your child, or is that somebody raising your child? So we're still back to the same thing. So if you're intending to get married and travel to a country, okay, a country that you have never lived in before, you don't know the rules, you don't know the regulation, you don't know how it's going to be conducive for you. And that's why you see with all the jackpot people going with children and family, and they are jackpotting pada as well. Because of what? because they did not know what the terrain is going to be like where they're going.
Yeah.
They
Yeah.
bought into dreams and ideology, and reality will quickly dawn when they get there. You're coming from a place where you've never paid tax. You get to a place now you have to start paying tax.
Yeah.
You didn't pay for electricity. Now you're paying for electricity. You didn't pay for water and sewage. Now you have to pay for water and sewage. You didn't pay to put your car on the road. Now you not only pay to put your car on the road, you pay insurance to put it on the road. You do all sorts of things that you, and then you're breaking. There is so much, Pastor K. Intentionality is the key word.
Yeah.
How does one model the stuff? I love the model stuff, but considering the busyness of the country, how do you model this? The question is, what decision have you made intentionally about raising godly offspring?
Which part of that decision may be that you may need to make less money. It's
That's
as
right.
important as that, because again, um, like I don't live in the UK, but I know that because there are opportunities to work and make a lot of money. So you see immigrants who are working themselves because, oh, where we're coming from, there were no opportunities for work. And so they start calculating, if I can do 14 hours and I do another 10 hours, if I can do how many hours in a week, I'm going to have this amount of money and all that. But at what expense? At the expense of the life of your children. And again, they want to quickly make it so that they can start sending money home to Nigeria, and people say, ah, yeah. Some people just put themselves under unnecessary pressure, or
Pressure.
maybe
Thank you.
people put pressure on you and all that.
And you
But
to accept it.
whatever pressure you are under, make sure that you prioritize your children,
That's right.
prioritize the future of your children. If it means having to cut down certain jobs, if again, it's not even just that. I remember again, let me use my family as an example. There was a time my wife and I were going through a stormy patch, and she would complain that she's overwhelmed and all of that. And we had to sit down and analyze the situation. She was touchy at home. She wasn't her usual, lively self. And we discovered that because, she's a doctor as well, she could take, and because she's practicing, she's an anesthesiologist, by the way. So there are opportunities to go
Our
do
consultant, oh, please complete. Our consultant.
she could go take extra jobs. We just discovered that she was doing too much. She was overworking herself. Was the money helpful for the family? It was. But we have to say, no, cut down on this. God is our sustainer. We need you. I need my wife. The children need their mother. And you need your own peace. You need your health. And then she did. And I think it was about a few days ago that we were even just talking about the oldest. She just said, wow, that it it's now that she actually got what I was saying then and all that, because she had cut down a lot on that. And sometimes the reason you are not being you are just touchy, you've gone to overwork yourself, you can't you're one of
You're
the reasons for
frustrated.
presentism, you are tired, you can't be a good wife to your husband.
Mhm.
And let me tell you something, it doesn't matter how long you have gone to your work, your husband still needs his wife. He still needs to have sex with you. The children still need their mother. So there's still pressure waiting for you at home and all that. So we need to begin to cut down, to prioritize the things that matter the most. Your family is the most important thing to you. You don't stop running the race of I want to. And again, I'm told this happens. I don't live in the UK. That there's a lot of competition among immigrants who bought a house first, who's already living in a part of the, and there's you're competing with others. Just drop that competition. That's one thing I learned from my father. He was never going to compete with anybody. He says they could build anything, but I'm building my children. Let them build three-story buildings. Let them build, but I'm invested in building my children and my family. And today, we are grateful for it that it took his time to build us, and all that. Again, like I said, my dad is not the best of fathers in relationship, but with that intentionality of spending resources, he could spend on himself or other thing. He spent it on us, and he's reaping the rewards today. And he has children that love the Lord and serve the Lord today. So I think it's about prioritizing
Yeah.
what is the most important.
What is important to you, whether it's your job, whether it's your life, whether it's your career, whether it's your profession, whatever. I just want to balance this because I don't want people thinking Pastor K is only just advocating for the wife that is doing extra job, and so when she
Yeah.
gets home she has to. It works both ways.
What?
So
Yeah.
whether it's the husband as well that is going
Yeah.
out and
The
is
children need
constantly,
their father, and the wife
and
needs
the
her
wife also
husband as
needs
well.
her husband. So
Yeah.
it's not just one way traffic, it's
Yeah.
both ways.
Ways. Yeah.
Yeah, definitely is both ways. And then, there's also the bonding between the spouse as well when one is always vacant or not available. There's, like you said earlier, availability is not just because my body is physically here.
Physically.
No.
Yeah.
Availability means emotionally, psychologically, being
Mentally.
present,
Yeah.
not just attendance, that my body is in this house, what more
Yeah.
do you want? No, that's not what we're talking um, about here.
About.
And in modeling this, Pastor K, again, about also the busyness of life, like we've said, it is the priority. And I think routine, routine for the children,
Yeah.
routine for the family. If you have prioritized that your children are a priority to
Yeah.
you, it's not just the money that you bring home or the clothes that you buy for them or the gadgets that you give them or the access to internet or a good education. No, your presence, your input, your touch, your kiss, your hug, your laughter, your um, even your chastising when they
Yeah.
are going wrong. These are all a necessity to, one of the things I've always seen and had issues with, and I still have issues with, Pastor K, I don't know about you, is many parents have not learned in the busyness, especially when we're talking about the busyness. The best thing you can have is a routine,
Yeah.
is to have a routine. And I've always,
Yeah.
one structure I've always had for my children from, and one thing again about me, I think I said this yesterday, I learned from my mistakes. If the mistakes I made with the first child, I don't do it again with the second child. Mba, it's not me.
Mm. Yeah.
If one child taught me one lesson the first time, the second child is not going to do the same thing. So
Yeah.
that's another thing. This is part of how you model and exemplify all these things that we're talking about. What lessons are you also learning along the way, and how are you implementing and modeling this as well? One thing I notice, many children that I probably wouldn't have in my house for more than 2 seconds, they lack structure, they lack routine.
Yeah.
Anything and everything goes.
Yeah.
One of the things I mean, thank God you are a qualified medical doctor. You are a doctor yourself. I've never introduced you as a doctor, but everybody knows now that you are actually a qualified medical doctor. Um, so one of the things I learned at the beginning was the more time my children slept, the more I was giving them their brain the opportunity to develop.
Yeah. Yeah.
And again, this is part of parenting. This is part of intentionality.
Yeah.
I'll be speaking to some people, hearing some people, 10 p.m., 9 p.m., 11 p.m., the child is still awake, making noise, as strong as ever. And there's no structure, there's no routine.
Yeah.
You can't even get a sleeping pattern for your child.
Yeah.
One of the first routine or the strongest routine I ever laid for my children was a sleeping pattern.
Yeah.
And
Same thing.
that in itself also gave me and the father the opportunity to also have time for ourselves once they
Absolutely.
were also in bed.
In
You see,
bed. Yeah.
and they're talking about you. And when, you know, Peter says the younger woman should learn from the older woman, but you're
Mhm.
trying to tell them, and they're like, that's your things. It's not going to work. Well, that's your business.
Well, our children, they must be in bed by 8 p.m.
Oh, yours
At
is good. Yours is good.
8 p.m.
Mine was 7. 6 o'clock, you're having your bath.
Mhm.
6 o'clock, you're having your bath. That means you've eaten, you've done everything, homework, unless,
Yeah.
obviously this changed the older they become, but they were
Yeah.
younger. 6
Yeah.
p.m., you've had your bath. 7,
Mhm.
you are in bed. Your light is out.
It's
In
out.
fact,
8 p.m.
my
Therefore.
children used to have nothing less than 12, 13, 14 hours sleep a night. In fact, until one of my child said, I'm sleeping too much.
We do 10 hours, 8 p.m. to 6 a.m. That's
Okay.
the routine. 10
See?
hours.
So
10 hours.
that's part of the structure and the routine.
Yeah.
So by the time a child, even before they start learning to walk or talk, you will even see their body clock, because when their father used to have ministration and invitation continuously and they
Mm.
were young, my children's bedtime is 7 o'clock. So if the program is starting at 7 o'clock, and that's another thing I wanted to mention, Pastor K,
Mm.
about the intentionality and raising them up. I don't know about you, but everything that we have done in ministry, we have always done it as a family,
Yeah.
never as an individual. Whether it's me or my husband that is being invited for ministration, it was always the whole family. Wherever you see one, you see everybody.
See everybody.
You see? That's part of the intentionality. It's not like you go, I will stay. It's always been, and that's one thing we never saw with the other men and women of God that we came across. In fact, we never met many of their children for many years in all the programs we were going and when we had meetings and we met. We didn't see their children. Even the ones that had older children that could have been part of it, they were not part of it. And that's another thing. So when my husband or myself will be invited for ministration somewhere, my children are already asleep in the car sometimes before we already get there. And as soon as we finish the meeting again, there's no dilly dally hanging around because it's already way past my
The
children's
best.
bedtime. So, what we're doing again, we're chucking them in the car and we're driving right home again because it's way past their bedtime. If my children don't get their full hour sleep and you wake them first thing in the morning, the first thing you're going to hear is, I am tired. That in itself is a structure, is a routine. Mom has a program, we are all there. Son has a program, we are all there. Daughter has a program, we are all there. Do you see what I'm saying again, Pastor K?
Yeah. 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 Yeah.
That is intentional. And this is what people don't get. It's not when you get into the marriage you start thinking. No, these are things you thought about
Yeah. Yeah.
before we even got this far. Pastor K, our time
It's gone.
is way, way gone.
It's way gone.
Is way, way gone. Pastor K, I'm going to let you go. Again, I don't know whether you are enjoying this, but I kind of get the vibe that is going well.
Yeah, it is. It is. I'm enjoying it.
Brilliant. I mean, it's good. It's good. Thank
Yeah.
you for your time. Thank you for your
Yeah.
insight and the quality that you're bringing to the discussion. We truly,
Oh,
truly appreciate you. So
you're
please,
welcome.
my regards to our consultant and our consultant too. Not just,
All right. I'll
so
deliver.
greetings to everybody, sir. Enjoy the
Yeah.
rest of your evening.
You
Take
too,
care.
man. Thank you very much.
God
Bye.
bless you.
You may.
Everybody, a thousand apologies. As you can see, the discussion can keep going on and on and on. If you are enjoying the discussion and is fruitful, beneficial, resourceful in any way, shape, or form to you, please, 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 I beg of you, share it with other family, like you heard with Pastor K. That people should listen to this again and again. Definitely. Pastor K is not being superficial or artificial about the reality and the challenges that are then, and you guys know me as well. I will say it exactly the way it is. It's not easy. Nobody ever said it was easy. The Christian journey that we are on as well, nobody said it's easy. But when we sign up to be parents, we need to know what it is that we're signing up for. It's never too late. That's my principle. That's my belief. It's never too late. Changes can take place. The question is, are you willing to sacrifice? Are you willing to invest? Are you willing to raise the next generation as God intends? That's the question I feel we need to be able to answer ourselves. And when we've made up our mind to do that, then obviously the Lord is going to help us. We can't do it. It's not by power, neither is it by might. So we're going to have to rely on the Holy Spirit. We're going to have to depend upon God. But you must decide that that is what you want. You come to Jesus, and then he does the rest of the work. So everybody, I'm saying thank you. My co-host, thank you. Auntie Cecilia, God bless you. Yes, so we didn't do yo-yo. There was no yo-yo at all. But we thank God. We thank God. So everybody, tomorrow is the grand finale with Pastor K. Whether this will be the first and the last time that we'll be having Pastor K, I've got no clue. You've heard me, and he has said it. There are opportunity for us to talk about other things that has been mentioned during the course of the week. Maybe that will birth another visit from Pastor K. I don't know. But it would be nice. Please get involved in the conversation. Let us know your thoughts, especially you guys that watch later. Leave comments. Let us know where you're joining us from. And if there's anything that you would like Pastor K and I to also talk about as well, feel free to leave it in the comment section as well. So, as always, at this junction, on behalf of myself and Archbishop, we want to leave you in the most capable hands of the Father, the Son, and the Holy Spirit. Have a wonderful day, morning, or night, wherever you are, and take care.